Next up, we're going to be taking a look at some trailers for our trailer park.
Woohoo!
Since the last time we did this, the trailer broke for Captain America 3, The Civil War. It's one that we've both been looking forward to. Shall we take a look?
Yes, let us look at this trailer.
Here it comes, Con.
So this is the scene from Ant-Man.
Yes.
See Bucky in there all chained up.
Your mom's name is Sarah. You used to wear newspapers in your shoes.
It's not a mom joke somehow.
You're a wanted man.
When Marvel has a character tied up in the dungeon, it's cool, unlike DC.
Well, the people who think you did are coming right now. And they're not planning on taking you alive.
Very dramatic.
Captain, while a great
So this
many
is
people
Thunderbolt
see you
Ross,
as a
right?
hero,
The old
Yep.
dude? Okay.
there are some who'd prefer
And it's not
the
S.H.I.E.L.D.,
world
it's Avengers now.
vigilante.
No, he's a
You've
good pick.
operated with
They
unlimited
recycled him from the Hulk,
power
did they
and
not?
no
That's right.
supervision. That's something the world can no longer tolerate.
I know how much Bucky means to you. Stay out of this one. Please. You'll only make this worse.
It's weird that she would say something like that, because usually she's the
He's
badass.
got the same hat as Winter Soldier.
Yeah,
Consequences.
same kind of incognito costumes.
Captain, you seem a little defensive. Well, it's been a long day.
I hear you, Cap.
If we can't accept limitations, we're no better than bad guys. That's not the way I see it. Sometimes I want to punch you in your perfect teeth.
Aww. Tony's upset with Captain America.
It could be worse. It could be a boxing glove arrow to her dick.
Because people that shoot at you usually wind up shooting at me too.
I like the fact that they painted his wings so that it's a
Yeah.
lot more like the comic book.
The actual Falcon, yeah.
It still looks cool.
You want to punch your way out of this?
Yes, you want to punch your way out of it. Punching's the only solution.
What do we do?
We fight.
Like, I'm very happy that they're keeping it a Captain America movie, even with all these people in here. Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
The fact that they keep the focus on him is good.
choice.
I don't want Don Cheadle to die, but at the same token, he's probably one of the only characters that can in these movies.
I think
don't know.
Tony's got a bad idea as to what a friend is. They're more like co-workers.
This is great that they're working together.
Yeah, this is
You
a
got Iron Man.
fantastic beatdown. He's had that coming since Iron Man 3.
Poor Tony Stark. No one understands him. He's just going to drink his way out of his problems now.
Yeah, he's done that forever.
All right, so this was kind of out of the blue. No one really figured that this was going to be a thing that was going to be released so early, but it came out. I mean, to be honest, as long as Hawkeye gets killed by the end, worth the price of admission. I will pay to see this movie fucking twice, maybe 3 times. If
You
he
know, I
gets
hated
iced.
Hawkeye in the comics, but I don't have much of a problem with him in the movies.
I hated how they kept on trying to make him a thing in Age of Ultron. It's like, you know what? It's like fetch. It's not going to happen. Hawkeye shouldn't be happening. Okay, so yeah. If you've read the comics, and I think you have,
I have.
the Civil War comics, this is kind of a different departure on that whole storyline. So in the comic books, and we're going to spoil this a little bit, as much as you can spoil a 3-year-old comic, but in the comic books, the Civil War is an event that goes across multiple books with multiple heroes and everything else. The genesis of it is that there's like a reality show around this team of like C-list heroes who are running around trying to stop criminals. They run into a supervillain whose ability is basically just to blow things up.
Nitro. He blows up. His body explodes.
His body explodes. So he blows up and he kills 700 people. So they decide, government's like, well, you know what? We really need to kind of get this kind of thing in check. We're going to come up with a Superhero Registration Act. So let's for people who have read X-Men comics, it's basically the same kind of idea that they've been trying to do in every like 2 years in X-Men, which is like the Mutant Registration Act and like all these different things, right? So. And at one point, it's basically the heroes are like, well, some are like, yeah, that's fine. We'll work with the government and we'll register and we'll be fine. And then the other heroes are like, well, we don't want to do that because we don't want to jeopardize our secret identities. So right away, in the Civil War movie, that's not really a thing because there isn't a single hero in the Marvel Universe so far, except for maybe Ant-Man, who has a secret identity. everybody knows that Steve Rogers is Captain America. Everybody knows that Tony Stark is Iron Man. Black Widow outed herself as a Shield agent
When she loaded everything on the internet.
Yeah, exactly. In the second Captain America movie, Hawkeye is a nobody, so who gives a fuck? The Thor is
Thor.
is still Thor. I mean, he's like he doesn't have a secret identity.
He never had a secret identity on Earth in the MCU.
In the
No.
movies, he's never had that.
No.
Like in the comics, he was Donald Blake, the mild mannered, like I guess doctor. I guess
He was a doctor. Yeah.
and then he became Thor when he needed to. But okay, so none of that's a thing. So really, you got to look at, okay, so what's the reason for the Civil War in the movie? So just kind of piecing it together, it looks like maybe Tony Stark is brought responsibility for making Ultron. And
That'll be one thing.
Yeah, because you notice in the trailer they're signing the Genovia act or whatever. Not Genovia. Sorry, that's another X-Men thing.
That's Genosha. Is what you're thinking of.
Genosha. Yeah.
You're talking about the incident that took place in that European city.
Yeah,
at the end of Age
in
of
generic
Ultron.
Eastern European city
course.
for Age of Ultron.
A huge superpowered catastrophe
yeah.
that almost cost an entire city.
Yeah, and so
that'll be another thing.
So that's kind of, I guess, the genesis of Tony Stark being in favor of having some kind of registration act for these heroes. It looks like Captain America's really only motivation to not sign it isn't for the anonymity, but to protect his friend, because it looks like maybe that they're using it as an excuse to kind of go after Bucky, or they're using it as an excuse to kind of like
that's gonna be
limit
part
their
of it for
activities, and
sure.
that's going to be part of it. So like, you get the feeling that Bucky really is kind of like being held to account for maybe things that he didn't do, or for things that they'd rather just kind of sweep under the rug after the whole Shield blowing up at the end.
Stuff
The
that he did while being brainwashed.
Yeah, because the whole Shield thing is like, basically Shield gets ruined by all of these characters together in the second Captain America movie. So it's like, well, maybe they want someone to pin the blame on, and that's going to be Bucky or whatever. And yeah, I mean, that's the thing that kind of, when I looked at it, I'm like, I don't know if this even really makes sense if you look at the characters, because wouldn't Captain America want to let Bucky have his day in court, because he genuinely was brainwashed when he did all these bad things?
Well, he would, except he said right in the trailer, they're not looking to take you alive.
Yeah, and that's kind of like, so that really becomes, I think, what I think the central motivation is between the hero split, is that the government wants to do some shitty things in the name of preserving order, and a lot of people who know Bucky or know like kind of the whole story don't really like him, like because I mean in the second Captain America movie, Natasha is the Black Widow, goes on about how this guy is like been killing people forever, and
for decades,
and she got wounded by him and stuff, so obviously she's not really a fan. But it's interesting to me because with all of these movies, I mean, they're all owned by Disney now, obviously, and these are movies that are going to go on forever. They want to have 5 million Marvel movies by the time the 2100 hits, but they can't really do certain things in these movies. Like, they can't kill off any main characters. They can't really do anything too earth-shattering with regards to story changes for the characters, because they want the characters to be recognizable as the Marvel characters.
Right.
And primarily because it is a Disney property now, these are things that are going to be aimed for kids. So they can't really do anything too edgy or weird, because they don't want to not have parents take their 10-year-olds to go see it
Captain
and do things. So in the context of all of those things, it kind of makes it interesting to kind of see, well, what's going to happen with this film, because the comic series, Captain America actually dies at the end. Like, he gets assassinated because someone's really upset that he didn't want to like give up his identity or whatever. So, and it's weird because in the comics, Steve Rogers has an actual, like, he's an alternate identity to Captain America. Like, it's a hidden thing. It's not necessarily public knowledge that he's Captain America so much, which is a little weird. But I mean, in the movies, it's like right out there. They have the tour scene in the second Captain America movie where they're talking about Steve Rogers, and then right away he's outed, right? So but looking at the release schedule for the movies that are coming up, I mean, that certain characters, no matter what happens, are still going to be alive by the end, just because they're going to have their own movie. So this movie introduces a couple of new characters. So the Black Panther is actually going to be in it, which is kind of cool. But he has his own movie coming out, so he's not just being introduced in this movie to die.
No,
he's going to be playing a role. And yeah, you see some of that in the trailer as well, is that he's the whole reason he might be in it. We don't really know. Like, they kind of mention Wakanda, the country that he's from, in the Age of Ultron movie, as a source of vibranium, which is the metal that Ultron wants to use to kind of build his robot army.
The same thing
so,
Cap Shield's made out of.
Is it possible that the leader of that country wants to get some of the vibranium back, or he's coming, maybe the way that the shield material was, because Captain America's shield is made out of the same thing, so maybe they want to reclaim that material because
Possibly.
because maybe it was gotten under illegal
I think it's
circumstances.
going to be
by,
a small thread for what's
Yeah.
going on, and it'll help set up Black Panther. But I don't think it's going to be a significant part of the story.
I don't know. Yeah,
It shouldn't be. They got a lot to do.
He got a lot of trailer space, if that's the case. I mean, like if he's not really that significant as a character.
Yeah.
Some of the notable absences, though, is the Hulk is not in this movie, and that's been confirmed. And also, apparently, this movie introduces Spider-Man into the Marvel universe
heard
of
that too.
films. Yeah. So there will be yet another origin story or little origin blip for Spider-Man going into this, and he's a teenager, like a real teenage actor as well. In this
Which
film
I
or
like. I
whatever.
like
So,
that depiction.
Yeah.
of
So
Spider-Man a lot.
they're going back to the nerdy Peter Parker, which I think is pretty cool. But yeah, they probably won't kill Cap. I mean, they could, because in the comics they killed him and they brought him back.
There's lots of options here.
But we already know that they're gearing towards the Infinity War movies. And there's a bunch of other things where Cap could be in. They're not going to kill off. Well, they could kill off Iron Man. I mean, to be fair, there's not another Iron Man movie, so if they're gonna have an Avengers without an Iron Man and they want to take that risk, I guess they could. They could totally kill Hawkeye. And at Marvel, if you're listening to this, you can kill Hawkeye. It's okay. You know what? Some people might be sad. You can kill him.
Jeremy
It's
Renner
fine.
needs a paycheck. Come on, buddy.
He'll get a paycheck for this last film, and that'll be fine. If he's smart with his money, you don't have to worry about him. But who else can they really do? They can't really kill anybody off because
They
they're
don't
all
need
in their
to.
own. Yeah, because Ant-Man is going to be in his next movie.
With
They
Wasp.
with Wasp, and she might even be in this one. I don't know. They haven't really talked about his role in this yet. They're not going to kill Black Widow because they're still on the fence probably about the Black Widow movie. Like, it hasn't been scheduled or
going anywhere.
released, but they probably will want to make a movie out of her because she's tremendously popular. Hulk's not even in it, so it's not even a question whether or not they're going to go after him. So that means that there's Thor, which I don't think he'll be in this
He
movie
shouldn't
either.
be, no.
Yeah,
He's getting ready for Ragnarok,
Yeah, and that could be
where Hulk also appears next as well.
yeah. So that'll be a thing that could end up hurting him. I don't know, but that's about it. I mean, we don't necessarily know very much more about the story.
One other thing that I'll point out, I'll put my money now that we will learn Bucky as Winter Soldier killed Howard Stark.
yeah,
And Tony is going to want revenge.
he'll
for
figure
that.
it out or whatever,
Yeah,
and then they'll
yeah,
go from
because
there. Yeah,
there was Howard Stark died in a car accident, I think is how they related it
Yeah.
in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And there was a story that Natasha told that had to do with something along those lines. I'm willing to bet that they're going to match up.
Yeah, I mean, they end up killing off like all of the founders of Shield, and that's done by Hydra, according to the crazy computer face there.
Yes, Arnim Zola.
Arnim Zola in the second Captain America movie. So I mean, you totally could be right. I don't know. It sounds like it's something that could happen, but it's just really weird and interesting to see what they're going to do with it because the story is departing very much so from the actual.
And that's
Civil
okay.
War
It has to.
comic. It has to. I mean, because the movies are different. But yeah, so that was Civil War. If you haven't had the chance to watch the trailer yet, definitely get a chance to watch. We'll put a link in the show notes.